Hi, my name's Chris Brown. I'm from Dome Shells Technology, and today we're putting all the parts of the dome together down on the ground here behind me. It's been made in 8 parts, and it all came in yesterday on a huge great big truck, and since then we've been assembling it. And we built a temporary frame which that sits on, which is exactly the same size as the frame that the dome sits on, so we can put it together on the ground. As I mentioned, there's about nearly 150 bolts inside there that bolt it up and glue it all together too, and that's the process that we're doing at the moment. It's been a very interesting job for us, and quite challenging because it's quite complex and has to be extremely accurate. And so over the last, I guess, about 3 months, we've been making the patterns and the molds and the parts for both the dome and the minaret. And the particular laminate structure of this dome is quite unusual. It's extremely strong. It has a core of foam in the center of it, which both gives it a bit of extra insulation but also substantially increases the strength. Each piece weighs around about 200 kilograms, and so there's 8 of them. Not that it's so heavy, but because of the reach, we actually need quite a big crane to lift it up to reach it out over the top of the building. And we have attempted, together with the engineers, to prefabricate every little piece so that when we drop it down on top of the frame, on top of the roof, we keep our fingers crossed that everything lines up, and then we can bolt it up. And that's quite a procedure too, because there's about another 80 bolts, about 75 bolts actually, which hold the dome down to the steel structure. So, you know, this is a day we've been looking forward to very much, and there have been 4 people working full-time on this for over 3 months, plus, you know, all the consultants and everybody else that has input into it. But in the factory there have been 4 people, and actually, but you know, we love building domes. We love domes. That's one thing that we do, and we always find every dome project is completely different because it has a different specification, it's a different size. This dome is about 5.6 meters across at the diameter line. The radius is about 3.5 meters, so if it was a full dome it would be bigger, and it's a slightly flatter arch dome that then sits in the square surrounding piece, which is 6 meters by 6 meters in dimension. Right now we have got all the dome parts fully bolted. The actual dome itself is fully bolted and glued together. And now what we're doing is we're fitting the flat parts to the side of it, and we're just drilling those holes and getting the bolts in. Once it's all fitted up and we've got it right, we've got to let it back off again to put the adhesive in around and waterproofing system around the joint before we bring it back up with the bolts and then tighten it up, and then that's it. The guy that's standing on there at the moment with the rag, he's going around and polishing it and cleaning up the joints and making it look as clean and as neat as possible before we put it up there. It doesn't need to be painted. The color that it is, the color is already in the color coat, and it's quite thick. It's at least a 0.5 millimeters thick coating. And it's got a special UV system in it, so that it has, you know, optimum life in the sun. So it's it's not something you would put normally paint on it. Maybe every 20 years or so it might need a polish or a rub down or a wash or a scrub. So what's the date today? It's the 6th of September, so I think that's about the 6th day of spring. But today I think it must be over 30 degrees or about 30 degrees already. And We're not used to working in the sun, we're working in the factory, so it's a bit hard for us. The head contractor who's building the main building has built the frame on the roof, but we had to work very closely with him and with the engineers who designed the roof system, and with the engineer who designed the dome, and ourselves to get everything to work and fit. And it was quite tricky actually, because everybody has their requirements, but at the end of the day we have to make some adjustment to make it all work together. And then when we finish today, I expect the engineers will come and they'll have a look and sign it off, and then everything else underneath can be finished.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.